Hello everybody, welcome back to the MMA Training Bible's step-by-step guide to goal setting. I'm Dr. Jason Gillis. So let's just recap quickly. In part one, we focused on understanding the present. We focused on the reasons why you fight, because it's important to get associated with that. And then we identified where you're at right now using performance profiles in the area of your MMA skills and your technical development, in the area of your physical fitness and your conditioning, and also in the area of your psychological skills. And that gave us a good snapshot as to where we are right now. The next step is identifying where we want to go. And that's really what we focus on in part two. Session 5, we focused on setting unstoppable career goals, things that get you excited and things that get you training and pumped to train on a daily basis. In session 6, we focused on planning unshakable psychological skills, where you envision the type of fighter that you want to be in training and in competition. In this session, session 7, we're going to forecast your physical fitness. We're going to identify where you want to be, where you need to be in terms of your physical fitness. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So this is session 7, forecasting for fantastic physical fitness. I've got some learning objectives for you. I want you to be able to follow these 5 steps, the 5-step goal setting process, and develop unmatchable physical fitness. That's really what we want to do in this video lecture. And we're going to be using these 5 steps that we've been using up until now. These five steps for creating a compelling future. The first step is brainstorming and all of the objectives and all the goals that you want to achieve in the next 1 to 20 years. And after that, step 2, it's putting a timeline on each one of those goals so we know how long it's going to take for us to attain those things. Step number 3, it's identifying your top 3 objectives in 1 year. And number 4, it's visualizing achieving all of those objectives, those top 3 objectives in a year. And importantly, the next step, step 5, it's visualizing not achieving those goals, because it's important to get associated with what it would be like if you achieved the goals, but also what it would be like if you didn't achieve the goals. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you've got your document, this document that we've been working through here. And you can see it here, quick little review. This is part 2 exercises, and the first exercise we did was how to create a compelling future. And we started off on career goals, MMA goals. And then we focused on psychological skill goals. And in this session, we're going to be focusing on physical conditioning goals, and we're going to be looking at step 1 right here. And step 1, it's brainstorming everything that you'd like to do, like to achieve in your career over the next 1 to 20 years. So by now, you should be looking at this exercise, you should be printed out maybe on a piece of paper in front of you, and you should have something to write with. Okay, so we're going to get going on this right now, so let's get into it. So we're talking about physical conditioning here. And the first step, you're going to brainstorm all of the things that you'd like to achieve in your physical conditioning and your physical fitness. And remember, again, as always, this is going to be an interactive workshop, so I'm going to turn the music up a little bit, and we're going to keep this video playing while you write. And you're going to keep on writing. You're not going to block anything out. You're just going to keep on writing. You're not going to censor yourself. So don't stop writing. You're just going to listen to me talk. And remember, you can pause it and you can listen to this over and over and over again, but I think you're getting the idea by now. You know, physical conditioning, it's so fundamental in combat sports like mixed martial arts. You know, it covers a lot of different things though. We're talking about strength and power. We're talking about anaerobic endurance and aerobic endurance. And we're talking about agility, which is really underrated in mixed martial arts. That's the ability to stop quickly, change directions, and accelerate very quickly. But it also covers things in this area of physical conditioning like body composition, you know, your fat mass and your muscle mass, and even your flexibility. So my question to you, and what I want you to think about, is what would you like to work on? Think about it. What do you need to improve upon? What kind of a fighter would you like to be? Maybe you want to improve your aerobic endurance. Maybe you want to be able to perform at a repeated high intensity over and over again, over the whole round and over the whole fight. Or maybe you want to improve your anaerobic endurance. That's your ability to perform short, very high intensity efforts like short combinations or single takedown attempts, and really to a lesser extent those prolonged takedown attempts as well. Or maybe you want to improve some other factor like your agility or your flexibility or your coordination. Think about what you want and just write it down. The world is your oyster. Maybe you want to have the perfect training plan that covers every aspect of MMA, and maybe have it designed by someone else who knows exactly what they're doing. Or maybe you want to do it yourself. Maybe you want to go through an easy to follow step-by-step process. Or maybe you want to learn enough about the science of exercise to be able to create and design your own plan, and then maybe help others design their plans. Maybe you want to know how to put it all together, know exactly where everything fits in, know where to start, know where to finish, everything. Know how to perform any type of program design for any sort of circumstance. If you want to gain muscle, if you want to lose fat, if you want to know what to eat, and when, how to lose weight, how to gain muscle, all at the same time. It's all possible. Maybe you want to know how to optimize your performance with a minimal amount of fatigue, because in mixed martial arts, there's a lot of different things that you have to train. You have to train strength, you have to train power, you have to have your normal MMA skill sessions. You have to do all of these things, and you can really build up a lot of fatigue. So maybe you want to know what's the best way to train to minimize your fatigue and optimize your adaptation. So you want to know what your optimal training load is. What's the minimum amount of effort that you have to put in to get the most bang for your buck? And that's all about efficiency. So maybe you want to find the most efficient workout. I don't know what it is for you. Maybe you just want to know how to optimize your endurance, or maybe your endurance is fine and you just want to work on your strength and your power. Or maybe you just want to work on your agility and quickness. What is it for you? Maybe it's your goal to be stronger and more powerful than any opponent that you ever come up against. Or maybe you want to have better endurance than any opponent that you would ever fight. What is it for you? Have a think. What coaches would you like to have? Who would you like to work with? Is there a particular team that you want to join? Maybe Greg Jackson's on your list if you're in the USA. Who would you like to train with? What are some abilities that you'd like to develop? Maybe you want to develop explosive agility. How many times a week do you want to train? How many times a week can you train? What are you training now, and what do you want to build up to? What weight do you want to fight at? I don't know what you want, but I want you to give it some thought. Now, we're going to move on here. If you need more time, just pause the video or go back and listen to this again. See if you can jog your memory a little bit, or get the brain going a little bit, get the brain cells firing. Otherwise, we're going to move on to step 2. So for step 2, I want you to go back through that list that you just created and identify the most important physical conditioning goals that you would like to develop, or that you've spoken to your coach about, whatever people think, whatever you think is the most important. And I want you to set a timeline for their achievement. So you're going to be setting timelines for 1, 3, 5, 10, or 20 years up in here, and all of these objectives that you've just laid out. So please pause the video and go back in timeline right now. Okay, I'm going to assume that you're done now. If not, pause it and go back and do it again, or listen to it again. So now you should have a big list of a whole bunch of goals, each with a time frame for their achievement. So for step 3, I want you to go back through the list and select the top 3 one-year goals that would really excite you if you were to achieve them. Now, if you haven't come up with at least 3 one-year goals, then I want you to go back and repeat step 1 with this particular thing in mind. So moving on to step 4, I want you to look at each of these one-year goals and visualize what would happen if you achieved them. So let's move down here to step 4 here. So if it's your goal to develop your endurance, think about being able to push the pace of a fight beyond what your opponent can ever cope with, and visualize them gassing out right in front of you. Or maybe you want to develop strength, and if that's your case, then picture having the strength and power to escape from submission attempts and bully your opponent around the cage. Or maybe you want to have a nice solid training plan together, so you know exactly what to do every day of the week, maybe the whole year round. So in that case, picture having your entire training plan periodized according to your own needs, your individual needs. No matter how many times you fight in 1 year, if it's 1, 3, 5, 6, or more times. Imagine having the confidence that this periodized training plan is backed by science. Now imagine whatever it is that you're focusing on. Imagine how your life would change for the better if you were to achieve these goals, if you had all these things in place. Where would you be at in your MMA career? And think about how this would affect the people around you. Think about how it would affect your coach. Think about how it would affect your training partners. Remember that victory is always possible when your physical conditioning is there. I want you to pause the video if you need more time and visualize achieving all of those goals. So pause the video now. Okay, we're going to move on to step 5 now. I want you to visualize what would happen if you didn't achieve your physical conditioning goals. Picture yourself. If your goal is to develop endurance, picture yourself not doing that. Picture yourself gassing out right in front of your opponent and knowing that the only reason you lost the fight was due to poor physical preparation. Imagine following an aimless training plan, overtraining and burning out and getting injured before you really even reach your full potential as a fighter. How would this affect your coach? How would this affect your teammates? How would it affect you? Do you think you'd stay in the sport? I doubt it. How would you feel in a year's time knowing that you could have achieved so much, but you didn't? I want you to pause the video now, get associated with what could happen if you don't achieve these 1-year goals. So pause the video now and fill that out. Okay, so now you should have 3 compelling 1-year goals for your physical conditioning. We've gone through these steps. Let's give you a little recap. So step number 1, brainstormed everything that you'd like to achieve in your physical conditioning in the next 1 to 20 years. And then we set timelines in step 2 for achieving those goals, whether it's 1, 3, 5, 10, or 20 years. And then we identified the top 3  1-year goals, and after that, we visualized what it would be like to achieve those goals. And then step 5, you visualize what it would be like to not achieve those goals. So that's it for this session. I hope you got something out of it. Here are the references that you can look at again. And I hope that this gave you a little bit of insight, and I hope you're starting to get a little bit excited now. So that's it for this session. I look forward to meeting back up with you in the next session and the final session of this whole course, and we're going to talk about setting compelling MMA skills goals. So we'll see you then.